Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Game From Scratch, and last night some pretty major news dropped in the world of computer graphics, and that is that Pixelogic has been acquired by Maxon. Now, if you're not working directly in CG, neither of those names probably makes any sense to you, but the products they make you have probably heard of. Pixelogic makes ZBrush, and Maxon makes Cinema 4D. So the owners of Cinema 4D are now also the owners of ZBrush, pending regulatory approval. So first we're going to do the Pixelogic announcement. And it starts with the regular. Here's where we started out. ZBrush has been around since 1997. It is the sculpting application for the most part. It's the best sculpting thing out there. There was other tools like Mudbox. Blender has added better sculpting tools. Max and Maya both have good sculpting tools in. There's 3D Coat, but realistically, ZBrush is the preeminent sculpting tool out there. And the ZBrush is pending regulatory approval later this month. They will be joining Maxon and their software ecosystem. Coincidentally, it doesn't quite spell it out here, but this is Maxon acquiring Pixelogic, not a merger or anything like that. So the team is going to continue working there. So they've been working on it for 24 years, addition of the Maxon team, and our combined know-how, the future for existing and new ZBrush users looks brighter than ever. Now let's hope what happens from this acquisition is, I won't say it any way other than this. It's the best sculpting application out there with the worst user interface I have ever seen. So let's hope some of the Cinema 4D team gets sent on the UI team and it becomes less hideous. But yeah, so that is it. They're going to have more talent from the Maxon teams there. Exciting new era will bring an infusion of technology and skills, making it possible for us to take this pioneering spirit to the next level. After witnessing the evolution of 3D art driven by our one-of-a-kind artist community, we can't wait to see what you, the artist, will create in ZBrush for decades to come. We'll be sharing more details in the near future. You can expect the same close relationship we've maintained with you, without whom ZBrush would have never become what it is today. Looking forward to beginning the next chapter. And then they did a bit of an FAQ of details. Will ZBrush continue? Yes, they're going to make it for decades to come. Will subscriptions continue? Yes, we are anticipating that subscriptions will continue. That also kind of reads to me as, well, they don't really have any say on this anymore. And probably more importantly, and this is one of those things people really like about ZBrush, you bought it, you own it. Perpetual licensing. They are anticipating that perpetual licensing will increase. The problem is Maxon has moved very much into the Adobe Autodesk subscription-only field. So I don't know. But anyways, they are anticipating that will continue. And in terms of if you wish to purchase ZBrush, well, ZBrush 2022.1 was just released, and it is currently on offer right now. So you can get 10% off a perpetual license, which hopefully remains perpetual. Again, never expires. Buy it, you own it. That is pretty awesome and pretty unique in the industry. So if you're interested, you can currently get it 10% off. Do keep in mind, they do make other products. They also make ZBrush Core, a lightweight version, and Core Mini, a free version. If you want to go ahead and check those out. They also used to make a free version called Sculptress, but then they turned Sculptress into an attribute of ZBrush, I suppose you could say. And then we've got the same announcement from the Maxon side of things. Again, if you've never heard of Maxon, their marquee product is Cinema 4D. We'll get back to that in a second. But they've actually acquired a decent number of companies. I'm not going to go through their README. I will link it down below if you want to go through it. But it's basically the same thing from the other direction. This time, though, they state straight out that it's an acquisition, not words like joining. But yeah, so that is the Maxon announcement of the same thing. Maxon owns other products. So they own Redshift, Cineware, Cinebench, Cinebench, the benchmarking software, and so on. But their big product, again, is Cinema 4D, and Maxon One is sort of like an all-encompassing, all-of-the-above type deal, I do believe. Now, you don't find a whole lot of their products in North America. They're very European in their focus and their customer base, I found. I'm not really sure why it turned out that way. But a quick overview of both products here. The first one we've got here, obviously, is Maxon ZBrush. ZBrush is the sculpting application. I've said that a couple times. 2022 was just released. You can see details of that new release here. One of the things I like with them, especially for game development, is they've definitely moved into more of a hard surface modeling approach lately. So if you want to model machines, things with hard edges and so on, it's becoming easier and easier with each new release. Now, interestingly, this is just the update on the 2022 release. So if you want to see what's new in this actually just came out just a couple weeks ago. But if you want to see what's about ZBrush itself, the webpage is broken. All the images are gone. So I don't know what's going on there. But again, it's for modeling, sculpting, texture mapping, multi-res, that kind of stuff. If you want to do really high detail models and you want to retop them to low poly versions, that is basically exactly what ZBrush is all about. Now, the other party in this equation is Cinema 4D. Now, Cinema 4D is a full suite 3D application. It's kind of the equivalent of Max Maya or Blender. It's, again, animation modeling, simulation rendering. It's one of the things that's kind of interesting is they are very strong in the Mac market. So it'd be interesting to see how much focus we get for a Mac future on this one. But that is their marquee product. So again, you've got modeling tools, animation tools, motion graphics tools, and you got rendering functionality built in. And then I do believe that Redshift is a renderer. Yeah, it's GPU accelerated renderer that they make available as well. So, and this isn't just for Cinema 4D. I believe it can be used with multiple different products on the other end. So that there is Maxon. So Maxon does have a pretty broad swath of products. They're all obviously quite related here. And looking at this list, I do understand how ZBrush fits into the mix. So yeah, that is the deal there. Cinema 4D is one of those products I've never really learned that well. It's not a cheap program anymore. It used to be quite a bit cheaper. Now they're going, again, like I said, everyone's going through this move towards subscription licensing. They do have perpetual licensing, but these prices are insane. Like I remember Cinema 4D Core where you could get it for like $600 or something. I knew they sold it kind of in a modular manner as opposed to like an all-in-one suite. But very much Cinema 4D is the same kind of pricing that you will pay for Max or Maya. Obviously not for Blender, but that is kind of what you are looking at there. It is nice to see that they still do have perpetual pricing. Theirs is tied to the version, unlike ZBrush, though, so it's definitely not as generous of a model, and I highly doubt that ZBrush's generous buy once kind of approach to things is going to survive, regardless to what they've said. But definitely an interesting acquisition. So that is the big news of the day, technically yesterday, that ZBrush owner Pixelogic is now owned by Maxon. Interestingly enough, too, because ZBrush is based out of San Francisco, I believe, and Maxon is based out of Germany. So I wonder if they will stay quite remote. I don't know if the other companies that Maxon acquired, what their policy was towards them. In a world like today, though, I think working quite remotely is the norm, so I don't think that'll have really any impact. But it is one of those interesting quirks of this acquisition. But I am definitely interested to know what you think of this acquisition. What do you think of Maxon in general? Are you exposed to them? And if you are exposed to them, I'm mostly curious, are you a Cinema 4D user that's not in Europe? Because that just seems to be a very rare thing. But what do you think of Maxon buying ZBrush? Do you prefer that it's Maxon as opposed to, say, Autodesk or Adobe? I'd be interested to know. Let me know. Comments down below. Talk to you all later, and goodbye.